Hello, how's it going, everybody? It's a me, a comic Karaka. Um, we had the hangout this afternoon. I drank one too many cans of mysterious booze and then had to sleep on the couch, which was not as fun as it sounds. And I also got bug bites. Woe is me. Not as much fun as it sounds because it's blistering hot here again. So that the couch nap wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Um, so we had it over on Earl Grey's channel this week, this Sunday, today. Next week we'll be here on my channel. Thanks very much for everybody who came and hung out with us and the chat, as always. Going to just jump right into the rest of the books. I had a fair stack this week of stuff that I read. I was saying on Earl Grey's channel that it was a little unusual for me as it was a lot of more kind of mainstream and mainstream indie kind of books that took up my time this week, which was great. It was nice after having some heavier reading the past couple of weeks. It was nice to kind of dive into these kind of books. I gave a couple of new titles a try as well too. When I went to Galaxy to pick up my pull box, I had one single solitary issue in that pull box, so I grabbed a couple of things from the shelves, things that I'd heard people talk about, and things that I thought I wanted to give a shot. And one of those was this Parasomnia issue number 1 by Cullen Bunn, Muti and Boland, Andrea Muti, art and colors. Yeah, with a variant cover by Raphael Albuquerque. I don't know. I don't know, I guess. I'm not sure what I thought of this one. It seemed fine. It seemed, we're mixing a couple of different realities. Nothing is really defined as far as which reality is the real reality, who this flashback character, or not flashback, this alternate reality, or I'm guessing flashback, or actually I say that and who the hell knows, right? Who this person is connected with. There was a story of looking for a lost boy, was it? It's been a while since I've read this one, and not a lot of it has stuck with me, which is usually a sign that there wasn't much there for me to begin with. It really felt like an obscure setup, like a real mysterious, obscure isn't the right word, a mysterious setup. Sorry, still a bit of sleepy head going on here, sleepy brain. An intro that is really, really vague and really leaving a lot of mystery for the readers, which I'm normally fine with. I think when I sat and read it, I just wasn't maybe in the mood. And even now, sitting talking about it, thinking back on it, I don't think I'm still in the mood. We'll see. It may be one of those things that I wait to see what people say about issue number 2, and I just sit on this one until it's worth hundreds and thousands of dollars because it's the first issue, and then sell it. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll definitely wait and see what other people have to say before I jump into the second issue. But that was Parasomnia. I've mentioned it before. There's some local people on the Winnipeg Comic Addicts website, Tyler and Nat Daddy Collectibles, I think. I'm sure that's it. They have a weekly show. Have they done, I think, 3 or 4 weeks now? They have a YouTube channel. If I remember, I'll try to link it in here. Interesting. They're really nice. I know one of them. They do more just here's what we picked up. Here's some titles that we're recommending every week. They try to do them on Wednesdays. This past one was on Thursday, usually about 30-40 minutes. And it's interesting because they'll talk about some books that especially this last week, that I completely missed out on. So it's really great to have a channel like that, especially that they're local. It's nice supporting local comic addicts. And one of the books that they mentioned was Red Sonja, Black, White, and Red, following in the tradition of, what is it, Wonder Woman, Black and Gold, Batman, Black and White, Superman, Red, White, and Blue, all of these things. So this is a Red Sonja book with some short, same idea, short stories, black and white with splashes of red throughout it. I'm a fan of the gimmick, so I figured I would pick it up. It was good. It was good enough. I wouldn't say that this was one of the stronger books in this. For me, the weakest one being the Wonder Woman. This one was good, and the first story I thought was the most entertaining, and I'm completely blanking on where I've seen these characters that this is so clearly referencing. I know that there was some comic. I want to say that it was through Mad Magazine. There was a comic or a strip or something where it was two kind of prisoners hung up on the wall. I know that there was I think there was a Monty Python bit about it too, but I'm sure that there was a comic as well. So this is about a town basically that is sort of under the spell of this king to kind of just really obey and kind of just deal with these kind of tortures and not want to speak out against the king, not want to step foot either side of the line to piss off this king that is never quite seen. And of course, Red Sonja being Red Sonja comes in there and tears ass all through the place. And then the story kind of evolves from there, which I won't talk about any further. There's the second story. And then the third one, Kurt Busiek and Benjamin Dewey with Simon Boland and Nate Cosby. Some beautiful art, really, really nice looking stuff. Like I said, the stories themselves didn't kind of grip me beyond that first one being mildly entertaining. The other ones didn't really stay with me, but the art is really beautiful. This is another one that I don't know if I would go out of my way to make sure that I picked up every single issue, but if it's a slow week like I had today at Galaxy with the one book, and this was on the shelf, I would probably pick it up that way. Yeah, and here we go. We get a sort of gorilla type invisible monster that slowly gets revealed as more blood gets splashed on it. There you go there. So yeah, fun enough. The other one that they turned me on to, so Tyler, like myself, is a huge fan of Batman animated series. When I was selling the collection, I actually sold him a lot of I sold him a lot of the books that he was missing that came out of that collection that I didn't need for my own. So that was really great to be able to move some comics and also pass them on to someone who loves them as well. He was showing me this, and this completely passed me by. So I'm really glad that he pointed this out to me. It's Justice League Infinity #1, written by J.M. DeMatteis. Let me make sure that I get all of the credits right here. James DeMatteis and James Tucker are the writers. Ethan Beavers is the artist. Nick Filardi is the colorist. And Tom Napolitano is the letterer. And I don't think I know the Ethan Beavers name from any of the other animated stuff, but I have to say he nails the Bruce Timm style of the animated characters for this. And I mean, like Batman the Adventure Continues, this is just plain fun. And I'm absolutely on board for this one. I'm loving the Adventure Continues book. I've spoken many times of how much I love the cartoon. Even the JLA cartoon I was a big fan of too, more so the Batman one. Even Superman cartoon was really great. Gore Vidal, how's it going, man? So this is a lot of fun in that exact same vein, and I'm really glad that these are kind of seeing the light again, because this is how I like my mainstream comics, not taking themselves uber seriously, having, like, for the most part, one and done stories or two-parters, and just an absolute blast. So this one will have the bonus of having the Justice League throughout. One of the main characters in this one is Martian Manhunter. So there you have Martian Manhunter there. So really, really entertaining book. Very glad Tyler pointed that out. And on the same vein, won't say too much about it. Issue 2 came out of Batman The Adventure Continues Season 2. And this was the wrap up to the Court of Owls with our special guest star, Mr. Deadman there. Beautifully illustrated. And again, super fun. Really good wrap up. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next story was. I think there was 8 issues in the first season. Part of me kind of hopes that they don't just keep going season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, and just having these 8-issue arcs, especially when, as far as I remember from those first 8 issues, there wasn't one underlying story that tied the first 8 together, I don't think. So I hope that doesn't become a trend, because I think that just might get a little confusing for this old man brain, and I always worry about, because it's happened, picking up multiple copies of the same damn comic. Swamp Thing number, what is this, number 5, the frickin' gorgeous Brian Boland cover. I did pick up the regular cover because that was the only one that was on the shelf. This was the regular cover here, and I was really disappointed. I picked it up because I really wanted to, I picked it up anyway because I really wanted to read the story, but with this Swamp Thing, I am really digging these variant covers when I see them, and I think this one has been my favorite so far, so I couldn't pass it up. So knowing full well that I was double dipping on the same issue, maybe I'll put that other one aside and see if I can pass it on to somebody. But this one is an incredible cover. So this one we get kind of a throwback to sort of what I would consider kind of my classic Swamp Thing. Not that I grew up with it, because it was in very recent, even still making YouTube video history, that I read the Alan Moore stuff. This one has that flavor to it, and this whole series has had that flavor to it. This one we get Hellblazer himself, John Constantine, making an appearance, and this one feels like it's sort of in that vein of taking a one-shot story that's kind of set in the Swamp Thing world, that has a little bit of social commentary to it, still sort of feeds in to the home mythos of the main story as well, but sort of takes a little bit of a sidestep, a little bit of a detour as they continue exploring. This was enjoyable. I don't know if it stood out incredibly to me. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the series wraps up. But this one didn't kind of jump out at me, and potentially won't be one of the issues in this run that sticks with me the longest. It was great seeing Constantine in here, and I mean, this art is gorgeous, as you're seeing. Again, it's the second comic this week that I flipped through it, and it feels like there's a different tone. McCrae and Spicer, so Ram V, and I just have to keep going back to make sure that I get the credits right. Ram V writer John McCrae, Mike Spicer colorist. Yeah, Brian Boland variant cover, because now, Gore, you had me thinking, like, Jesus, was I right about that? But yeah, it is Brian Boland. Yeah, I didn't realize he was still around either. But there we go. So it's a solid series. Ram V is, one of those. He seems to be the big name in comics lately, writing a bunch of stuff. Justice League Dark, this, and Layla Starr that I'm reading as well. But solid run. Let me just have a quick look on issue 1 here. See, that's why. So Perkins. Well, there you go. Let's investigate a little further while we're all here together. Yeah, so it is a different artist. So Perkins, is it Mike Perkins? Let's have a look in the previous issue. So that's why the art will appear different, because it's in fact a different artist. Yeah, Mike Perkins. So still Mike Spicer on colors. This is issue number 4. So you can see there, still beautiful art in issue 4 as well. The first 4 issues have been fantastic. Nice to see a little bit of a difference for one issue, and we'll see who joins us for the rest of the run. So again, kind of even solidifying it further as kind of this just taking one step off the path to explore a side story. That goes there, that goes there. And I itch my nose, excuse me. And that goes there. Issue 4 of Beta Ray Bill, I read this week as well. And I'm really digging this series. I'm really just loving Tylox the Mighty. How are you? I'm really just loving his art. Why am I blank? Daniel Warren Johnson. Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer, color artist again here. I'm loving his art. I don't know the character so well. So some of these things, him getting an operation to kind of, you know, in his mind disfigure him, is a bit of the history that I just don't know the first thing about. But he's clearly struggling with this past. We still have his ship that is now sentient. I don't know. I wonder if this is Daniel Warren Johnson not remembering the flow of how many issues before we get to the center spread. But we have here just literally one page before the centerfold, a nice double page spread, and then at the centerfold itself, just regular pages. So I'm not sure what happened there, maybe in his planning out of it, or I don't really know, but still beautiful stuff. There's not much else to say about this other than it's an absolute boatload of fun, and I'm completely on board. And honestly, like I said before, after reading his Wonder Woman Dead Earth, I think he's a hell of a creator. I don't know if I'm one of the few people, but I know that there was some people that didn't like Dead Earth very much. I thought it was a phenomenal story. Using Superman's spine as a weapon and skull, you've got me. That's it. I'm hooked. So there we go. So Beta Ray Bill. I've been loving Swamp Thing and Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, I mean, when you have stuff like that, it's pretty easy to kind of get sucked into the world of more mainstream or the big two comics, which I sort of dip my toes in and out of all the time. But stuff like that plants me firmly in it. So that's all the stuff that I read that didn't make it onto the show. And then just kind of briefly, very briefly, looking at the other stuff that we did talk about today. The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 2. I'm enjoying this. This was another one where I just took a chance with issue 1. Didn't know anything about it. Saw a whole bunch of people talking about issue number 1 and kind of the excitement around it. So again, a bit of a slower week. Why not give it a shot? This is on my pull list now. So this is the one book that was there waiting for me at Galaxy. I really like the way this is unfolding. I like the way the storytelling is happening here, even in kind of like what we always refer to as kind of the info dump. The way he uses here, let's get to it. The transcript of an audio recording or video recording that's happening in the house. When kind of the big reveal happened in issue number 1. We also get this nice house on the lake spread. And then he also does this too. So we get some stills from the video footage as well with the transcript. I like that. It gives it a little something extra to it where you can whip through. Damien on the chat was saying that the problem that he had was he didn't remember who was who. Which either did I, but I didn't find it affected me too much reading that. It just felt like here's just a bunch of, I read it in kind of like the panicked way where, you know, it doesn't really matter. There was nothing information-wise, at least in my reading, that I felt like I needed to know who specifically was saying what. It was just the idea that everybody was in kind of a panic, and these pages and stuff are just gorgeous. The art in this is unbelievable. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because again, even with issue 1, when it had the reveal at the end of it, took me by surprise, man. And I was glad to see, yeah, it is the same artist from issue number 1 to issue number 2. I was glad to see, you know, it's good to be surprised, you know. I jumped on just in time, so nothing got spoiled. So I have no idea where this is going. I haven't even given it a second thought, but I'm ready to go for it. So put it on your pull list too. If I like it, I'll go back and get 1 and 2. Okay, cool. Probably the highlight of the week for me, or one of the highlights of the week, because again, everything I read, I pretty much enjoyed this week. Barbarica, I was able to get my hands on Barbarica #1, and this was an absolute blast of a comic to read. I found it very entertaining, and one of those rare times where a comic actually made me laugh out loud, 2 or 3 times during here. So we have our main barbarian character, and even thinking back about it is still as good as it was the first time I read it. We heard this afternoon that it was only going to be 3 issues of this, and I hope that that's to kind of dip their toes in to see how it goes, and then they have more. It's a barbarian who's been cursed, and he's got this bloodthirsty axe that literally gets drunk on blood, kind of guiding him and won't let him behave the way that he used to. The killing and the fighting that he does, it has to be justified. It has to be people that deserve it, which I think is a fantastic premise. So he comes out of the gates to kind of be the assassin of 3 people that have been found guilty of crimes. This one enlisted children, practically babies, to sell his illegal spice across the entire village. The drunkard next to him beat an innocent woman to death after he stumbled into the wrong house and thought he'd found his wife in bed with another man. And this one, I think he was caught stealing food from the market, but still, taking from the wealthy. When will the inhumanity end? So when he kind of confers with his axe, the priest asks, "Are you talking to your axe?" "I'm consulting with my axe. I can kill the first 2, but not the thief." The axe didn't feel it was justified. So stuff like that I thought was really good. The flow of the dialogue I thought was really great. And like I said, after the killing commences, seeing the axe kind of hiccup and want more blood and just get all crazy happy, I thought was very, very entertaining. They end up killing the priest as well too, as they take off out of this city to continue on. So then we also get a flashback to how he got to where he is now. And that was great too. So very, very entertaining, highly recommended to give it a shot. And I was saying to Damien this afternoon that there's a tone in here that I think I was wishing that Scumbag would have had. There does seem to be this kind of irreverent kind of humor going on here, and sort of making fun of a lot of different things. And I think that that's kind of what I had expected with Scumbag, that they would just take that humor to another level that just kind of tore a strip out of everybody. I mean, Scumbag is definitely more political. There's some political, I guess, ish kind of things in this as well, very abstractly, but I think it's handled great. Two Moons issue #5. I was loving the story up to this point. I enjoyed this last issue. I thought it was for the most part, satisfying end. There was no huge surprises as far as, of course, there's going to be a big battle with the humans that now can see the monsters and the monsters themselves. There's no other way that this issue was going to go. The thing that did surprise me, and the thing that did kind of leave me not super convinced with recommending it to people to rush out and get it, was the end, the very, very end, where his relationship with this white Irish woman sort of disintegrates when she sees him reacting the way that he was, which again, it just left me a little puzzled, because like, well, what else did you think was going to happen? Again, it's as a reader, you know that there's going to be a big battle. I would think that if you're putting yourself in the abstract position of being in the comic, of course it's going to end with a big fight, and of course this guy is going to fight for his life. And I guess that's, now that I'm saying that out loud, I think that's maybe one of the things that kind of confused me as well, that she expected what out of this guy. She even kind of refers to him uh, did you see him? He was a savage, just as you said. I didn't say that, Miss Francis, and we all have to fight. Not like him, not the way he was. So there's this, she's kind of now scared of him and literally calling him now a savage, which I don't know, I think that kind of turned me on because she seemed to be the person within the book that was most aligned with him as a character. So I don't know. There was something that just left, and then him riding out of town at the end really hinted at like this is the first arc of another kind of 5 issues. And we were talking about it today that this may potentially have been the last issue, and I don't really understand that as an ending. I don't really get it. It's just not 100% satisfying, I guess, where I feel like we've had something, you know. I did, however, like this when they hang this last guy, they put him on trial and hang him by a piece of barbed wire. It reveals that he's a demon, much to the shock of all the residents in the town there. I thought that was a nice touch. So, I mean, there was parts of it that I really liked for sure. And like I said, this entire series has been a real treat to read all the way through. But I don't know, man, there was just a couple of things in the end that I don't really get. And I feel like I don't necessarily know if that's due to the writing or if that's due to just my own internal dialogue on it. Yeah, see, and then I look at the last 2 books that I'm going to talk about and go, well, that definitely wasn't the highlight of the week, because these also were. Mamo is another one that Tyler and his friend there on their video, I'm sorry, Nat Daddy, I think is, I apologize for forgetting the name. They spoke about this too. So it's from Boombox, which I guess is a kid's line. It's a kid's line. Man, did I love this book. I am so glad that I gave this one a shot. Now that I've read it myself, I will absolutely be reading this one with my daughter. Basic premise of the story is that the witch in this town has died. This girl's mother is kind of in a coma, sort of, or in a trance, and they can't break her out of the trance. So she goes looking for a new witch to come and help them. And I mean, look at these pages here. I was saying in the chat too, I love the way the landscape curls like that. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. And the use of color and the movement in those trees is really beautiful. And they sort of mirror that. I'll flip to the page. They sort of mirror that even in things like this cat moving through the panels with that sort of curvature happening there as well too. Really, really, really good story and just gorgeous art. I mean, even just these 4 stills of some birds as they're moving through the landscape to finally go to her house so she can see her mother and kind of help is really gorgeous. Then what else do we have here? So we finally get to the house. She gets introduced to the family, and there's the mother lying in bed there. And she's been told by the boy of this little boy in the house, "Are you really a witch? That's good. Can you tell the lady in the attic to go away?" So there's this hint that somebody's up in the attic. So of course she goes to explore. The witch goes to explore, and we find a mysterious person, spirit, in the attic that she confronts. I'm looking forward to this series in a big way. I think this is going to be very entertaining. Of course, to be continued. So really, really nice story. Beautiful cover, beautiful art. Sass Millage. Let's see. Yeah, it says just Sass Millage. So that's written, drawn, and it doesn't list a colorist. So that'll be colorist as well too. There's the proper credits right here. Excellent, excellent book. And last but absolutely not least, talk about satisfying endings. Let's talk about Carmen, issue number 5. So absolutely satisfying. This was a fantastic read. Every single issue was an absolute treat in both art and storytelling. And, you know, I don't think there was part of this ending that I don't think would be a surprise to anybody that was reading it. But how they handled it and then where they went to beyond that. So that wasn't the one ending that I thought would happen, did happen, but it wasn't the final note. There was a little extra attached onto that, which I thought was really, really beautiful, like really, really nice. This book is such a treat in so many ways. Every single issue, I end up reading it at least once, and then I end up flipping back and forth through it a number of times, because normally I just leave my books that I'm going to talk about on Sunday, I leave them on the rack here, and I always end up pulling it back off the rack a couple of times to just flip through, just so I could admire the art again. Like, look at these pages. This afternoon we were talking, Jared Osborne, I think, was saying it, how he's just an artist that revels in drawing the human figure. And I would say that, you know, beyond that, this is a guy who just revels in drawing comics. Some of the things that he's treated us to throughout this series, the way that she's floating through the panels in earlier issues, especially when she's kind of exploring that, was really beautifully done. I don't want to show anything past there, so let's just back up. I'm going to end up showing the same pages over and over again, but I do want to make sure that people that haven't read it yet don't get anything spoiled. Just the way that he has the creation, the design of the characters, the design of the world, the colors that are used in this are kind of colors that you don't normally see in comics. I think it all just works well together. The only minor issue that I would have had with this is at the beginning, we have these two, this side here, we have these two characters that are sort of part of the machinery that is the people that kind of usher you into death. So there's sort of this info dump that they end up doing, as they talk a little bit about Carmen and talk a little bit about cases that she's had in the past. So I found that a tiny bit jarring off the top of the comic, because we haven't had that previous issues where there's been so much information in a short time. But like I said, that is a minor issue that I had with it, because the rest of it makes up for it incredibly so. Carmen got me in a mindset after the second issue. After I read it in its entirety, I rewatched Amelie. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were mentioning. And now I've been thinking about Wings of Desire. Yes. And it also made me think about the book Dr. Zhivago and Purgatory from Dante's The Divine Comedy. And then what's Tylock saying? That's when you know a book's good, when you can't stop reading it over and over. Absolutely. And I think, like, this is easily, so far, whatever, we're in July now, this is the top book of the year so far for me. And just going back, and it's one of those books, man, it's going to be hard not to just see these and just buy multiple copies of it. It's one of the very, very, very rare times where I'm tempted to almost try to find some of the variant covers. I don't know if I will go and do that. There's issue number 2. And then, of course, for issue number 1, I did get the Milo Manara cover. So for issue number 1, I would like to get the Gilliam March original cover for it. But even just looking at these, the back pages, just the colors, these pastel colors that you're getting, it's just a color palette that you don't see often. And I think it works really well. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what else he has in store for us, as hopefully he continues creating comics or whatever he wants to create. I'm on board. I'm hoping the exposition in Carmen number 5 may be a hint of future Carmen graphic novels. I haven't read if there will be, but I'm hoping. Yeah, absolutely. I never thought of that. That would be kind of interesting. Use that as a jumping off point to kind of explore that organization. Looking around, I think that's it. I'm still reading. I didn't realize it. It was on the shelf. I'm almost done Meta Barons, the hardcover. I've been still working my way through that. As it is with reading, all of a sudden a bunch of other books come in and my attention turns away. I'm almost done Rick Veitch is the one. I'm struggling a little with this one. The last, I'm almost done it. I'm finding myself struggling with it every time I put it down and come back to it, it's been a little longer than the previous time. And then when I'm picking up to reading again, I'm reading a couple of less pages than I normally have. So I love Rick Veitch, but I don't think this one is quite working for me. So I'm struggling a little with that one. Meta Barons, on the other hand, I'm plowing through that. I've read quite a chunk over the last couple of days. I'm struggling a little bit with the story. I feel like there's some moments so far where I feel like I'm missing the thread of what we're reading here. But overall, I'm enjoying it. The art is gorgeous in it. And then the other thing is I was reorganizing my shelves. I realized I never finished this beast as well, too. So this is here. I'd started on it, but I never finished Paramus. So this might be something that I'll have to kind of back up and read from the beginning and give another shot. So yeah. Do you watch Jodorowsky's tarot card readings? Oh my gosh, no, I don't. I do follow Jodorowsky on Instagram though, and as I've said before here, I could listen to that man talk for days. I find him incredibly fascinating to listen to, even though a lot of what he talks about in my mind is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, hocus pocus. I do admire him as a human being. He's got quite a way about him. I will absolutely have to look for that. Yeah, so those are kind of on deck for reading next. I'm still working my way through Little Nemo and Slumberland, those 4 volumes, and it's still incredible. I'm trying to read kind of a strip a day or so, but it's been a couple of weeks actually since I've picked up volume 2. I'm into volume 2 now. Still loving it though. Beautiful strip. I don't think there's much else that needs to be said about that. I doubt that there's anybody that's watching this channel that doesn't know about Little Nemo. So, but these editions are just stunning. These oversized editions. And that was the other thing for Carmen that we talked about this afternoon. Damien had heard that they're going to do a collected edition of it, but it wasn't going to be oversized. It was just going to be regular graphic novel size. And we both expressed our displeasure with that because if any book screams an oversized hardcover or even softcover, doesn't matter which, something a little more oversized, it feels like that one does. So that's a little disappointing that they're not going to go that route, but maybe maybe they'll change their mind, or maybe they'll do a couple of editions. Who knows? On the tarot card reading there, very enlightening. He approaches the readings from a secular and psychological viewpoint. Cool. I'll absolutely check that out. Is that here on the YouTubes, or is that like on his website or something, Gore? And Gore says the same thing. It's disappointing Carmen won't be oversized. The Spanish edition is oversized. And that's what I was thinking, because Mind the Comics was saying in the chat on Friday on Jared Osborne's channel that the Portuguese version, I think that's what he said, the Portuguese version was also oversized. So it might be a case of, I have the issues in English. I know the story. It's on YouTube. Thank you, Gore. Maybe I just invest in one of the other editions just to get that oversized format, just to be able to see the art in that bigger setting and not worry so much about that I can't read the story since I already have it. That's it. I feel like I'm starting to just prattle on here, so let's just call it a day. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. Gore Vidal, yeah, that would be fantastic, Gore. If you could do a video showing it, that would be amazing. Tylox the Mighty, thanks for joining us. It was good to see you this afternoon as well. Like I said, next Sunday, we'll be here on my channel doing the usual chat with the usual suspects, and there won't be any soccer on, so it'll just be us. Right on. Thanks, everybody.